My name is Jon Rauch, and I'm excited to be with you guys today. We are going to be talking, hopefully you brought your needles. We're doing a class on classic crocheting, and I'm going to be teaching you guys a new type of stitch this morning. I'm kidding. My name is Jon Rauch, and we're talking about the transition from high school into adulthood, and hopefully that's the right track for you. If you want to go to a different one, you're welcome to head out. I'll tell you about myself. I transitioned from high school to adulthood not too long ago. When my wife and I graduated from college, God gave us an opportunity to move back to my home city of Philadelphia, and we were part of Urban Hope Training Center. I was a director there for several years. And then about 12 years ago, God gave us the opportunity to move and transition to Grace Community Church in Goshen, Indiana, where I'm one of the pastors there for the last 12 years. And so I've had a chance to work with children, with teenagers, with young adults, with families. And so I've just seen a lot of transition in my own life, as well as in the lives of a lot of people, hundreds of people. And I want to talk today with you guys about how to make this really important transition that is coming up. How many of you guys just graduated from high school, like in the last month or two or so? That's awesome. Congratulations, guys. That's really a great accomplishment, really a big deal. So good job for you. How many of you guys are going into your senior year? Who's going into their senior year? Okay. I'm equally proud of you guys for coming. It's a good way to prepare and think about the future and try to have a plan for how you're going to transition. As you guys get ready to graduate from high school, there's a lot of transitions that take place in your life. I'm going to use you guys today. We're going to talk about what are some of the transitions that are happening in a person's life, in your life, or in a person's life at this stage of their lives? What are some? Just kind of raise your hand and what are some of the transitions that are happening? Okay? Okay, if you're moving to a new location, finding a new church, yeah? Okay, kind of living on your own, absolutely. A lot of independence, new decisions that have to come out of that. What else?
Like the environment you're with changes as you.
Yeah, sure. Different environment. Absolutely. Yeah, new people. Yeah. What else? Good job. What else? Yeah.
Financial responsibility.
Yeah. Financial responsibility. If you've not been up until this point now, you need to start to cover some of your own costs or all your own costs. That's a big transition. Sorry. Yeah, relationships. From potentially sort of casual dating to, is this person the person I'm going to marry? Okay. Not that I encourage casual dating either, that's another session though, but potentially from that to now saying, is this the person God would want me to marry? That's a huge transition. The relationships, the value is up way high, the stakes are higher. Good. So, a lot of transitions happening. I listed a couple as well. Just the transition from high school to potentially college, high school to joining the workforce, trying to figure out, either one of those directions, whether it's college or the workforce, you're trying to figure out what do I want to sort of do, right, for the rest of my life, or at least for this next season of my life. That's a huge transition, that's a huge thought to think about. And so if you haven't started to think about some of these transitions now, I'm kind of sorry that I brought them up to you. You're probably freaked out. But hopefully at some point over the next year, you would have started to think about some of the stuff that's kind of going on in your life. But this morning, we're going to focus on one particular transition that's happening in your life. And that transition is like, what does my spiritual growth look like once I leave my youth group? Or once I graduate from high school and go into adulthood, right? What does my spiritual life look like? How do I continue to grow spiritually? That's the transition that we're going to be looking at. And I passed these out earlier. If you came in late, we have notes here that we can get to you. We have a whole stack right here if you want them. We have extra if you didn't take any. And so kind of raise your hand, and Kyle here just met him, but he'll be glad, I'm sure. He seems really nice to pass them out to you, okay? So if you want those notes. But how to graduate from high school without graduating from your faith is kind of what we're calling this here today. And so we're going to take a look at 5 kind of practical steps here at the end, 5 key practical steps that you can take or try to put into your life as you graduate high school to make part of your life, so that you can continue to move forward in your spiritual growth after high school is over. Okay? You don't continue to come to momentum after high school, all right, unless maybe you're on staff in some way. So how do you make transitions when momentum's not a part of your life, or youth group's not a part of your life? You don't have somebody who's kind of on you. How do you take responsibility for your own spiritual growth? That's what we're talking about. And a lot of transitions from childhood or from kind of adolescence into adulthood, that's what it is. In a lot of areas in your life, nobody's now going to be telling you to do things. Your parents or your coaches or your teachers, even if you're transitioning to college, they're not, the professors there aren't hounding you for stuff. They expect you to turn it in, to get it done, to do the reading, that kind of stuff. It's a totally different learning environment than high school is. And so a lot of transition to adulthood is taking responsibility for your own growth. And so we're going to talk about some of those things you can do in your spiritual life as well. And there are reasons that we're talking about this. There's reasons that they would put a track on like this. And there's reasons that you guys are showing up to listen to some of these things and talk about this. So let me talk a little bit about real life for young adults pursuing Jesus. Listen to this quote here from Albert Einstein. It says, "The person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. But the person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places that no one has ever seen before." And the reason that I bring that up, that truth there that Albert Einstein sort of discovered, is that I don't want you guys to follow the crowd. I don't want you guys to sort of just be what everyone else is being or do what everyone else is doing, but I want you to stand above and stand out and be different from the rest of the crowd. And the reason that I say that is because there's some troubling trends in the American church, okay? And maybe you know this or maybe you don't know this, but do you know what the most religiously active segment of society is in America? When you look at age decades, do you know what the most active religious group is? What decade do you think that might be? Someone take a guess? It's not the baby boomers. Great guess, though. Another guess? That's what it is, yeah. It's people in their teen years. The most religiously active group in America are teenagers. So people that are your age, people that are 13 to 19 years old. Do you know what the least religiously active group in America is?
College.
20-year-olds. Yeah, people in their 20s. Yeah, good job. That's pretty wild when you think about it, right? Because you're talking about the group that is the most active on the top to the group that all of a sudden is the least active on the bottom. That's why we're talking about this, because something happens to a lot of teenagers when they begin to become adults and go into their 20s, where their faith begins to just drop off of their lives, or drop out of their lives. Let's first talk about, that's what the stats would show. I want to talk about if you think that is true or not, okay? So, kind of at your table there, kind of talk about whether or not you think that's true. Do you think that's true? That goes from the groups go from the most religiously active to the least. Talk about that. I'll give you a minute. kind of learn from each other, learn together. I talked to the seniors in our church. Some of them are here from our ministry, and they gave me some tremendous feedback about a month ago when they graduated. We talked about this very topic. And so I'd like to hear all your feedback as well, because I learned from you guys. What are some of the things, what are some of the reasons you think that might be true?
I think it's true because a lot of teenagers or parents are kind of the ones telling, hey, you have to go to church, and then when they're not home anymore, they can do whatever they want, they do whatever they want.
Okay? So we'll say that it was maybe their parents' faith. Okay? Yeah.
They lose their good Christian friends a lot of the time.
Okay? They lose good friends. Yep, it's amazing what kind of things you do when nobody knows you. Okay? Yep. You want to go over here?
Being involved in a more secular campus, or being involved in the military, just challenge your faith a lot more. People just don't see that.
Okay? Involved in a more secular society, whether it's college, military, could be workforce as well. So just priorities kind of get out of whack. That's a real danger. There's going to be another session in this track, another morning that's going to talk about how to specifically stay focused during college years, if that's your future college. And that might be a good one to go to, because you can really get focused on your academics and feel like that's what life is about. And while it was really critical during those college years, it's still not what life is about. That's good. Did you have a hand up there?
Yeah, that's just
Okay, right on.
The transition from being served to serving others.
Okay. This probably isn't even dark enough that anybody in the back can see it, but at least that. Yeah. That's a really good one. We're going to talk to you a little bit about this. I brought that up. How do you go from not being a consumer Christian? You're just consuming. It's good, but you're contributing. Okay, I think these are definitely some really good ones. Here's a few, some more that I wrote down from the high school seniors in our church that at least gave me these. You guys talk about these. Believe your parents. First time in life, you have some real freedom, so you actually can choose kind of what you're going to be doing. As people, we like to push the limits. So if there aren't any real limits, we can easily fall. You always find what you're looking for, and so if your parents helped you to sort of stay a little protected, maybe now that that's not there anymore, you'll find whatever it is that you're looking for. And so that was really interesting. College being too busy, that came up. College campus has lots of influences. You guys said that one. Stress about life can cause you to just figure like you can do it all yourself. You have to figure it out all by yourself. Or maybe when you're the newest one, the youngest, you're going from sort of being the top in high school to now you're the youngest one. You can get shy and timid and let others influence you. Or you can have fake faith in high school. I thought this was really interesting, but you can't fake it anymore when you're an adult. And that was really good. That was really insightful. Yeah, a lot of good reasons, or not a lot of good reasons, but a lot of reasons why it's a challenge. So that's what we're talking about. These things are very, very real, and the list could get longer and longer for the reasons that it's a challenge to stay connected to the Lord after high school. Here's kind of here's sort of like the main thing that I want to talk about. Why I think this happens. Going away from home or transitioning into adulthood takes away a natural safety net that God put into your life. All right, family, people that know you, your school environment, your youth group environment. God put a natural safety net in your life to help you so that when you would fall, there would be someone there to catch you, to help you back up, to help you get back on the right path. You could sort of make mistakes, but you had some protection there. That was God's design, okay? Adulthood, though, you lose that natural safety net. And so, we're going to talk about 5 things that I think you can do to build an intentional safety net. Okay, that's the difference between high school, childhood, and then adulthood. Is your natural safety net is now gone, and it is up to you to decide that you will build an intentional safety net. Does that make sense? And that's really what adulthood is about in a lot of areas in your life. If you're going to be healthy, you got to be intentional about it. If you're going to make good, if you're going to be financially healthy, you got to make intentional choices about it. You got to take some intentionality, some responsibility for the choices that you make when you become an adult. And so you got to take responsibility for your spiritual progress from this point on as well. Okay? And you can't look back and say, well, my church, they weren't there for me, or my church didn't have anything for me, or my church did. Listen, becoming an adult means that you are taking that responsibility on yourself. And so it is up to you to build that intentional safety net. Because we still need a safety net, because we're still gonna mess up. We're still going to be tempted to walk away from the Lord or whatever. But if we put some intentional things in our lives, it's a safety net in our lives, when that happens, it kind of guides us back on. And that's what becoming an adult Christian is all about. And I talk to adults in our church all the time about that we need to put these guardrails up in our lives so that when we're tempted to drift off the road, there's something there that's going to stop us and push us back on. All right? So, let's talk a little bit about that. Okay? Let's see, what are some of the things, what are some ideas that you are thinking about? If these are the answers of why it's so hard to keep your faith after high school, let's make a second list of things that we could do to not lose our faith. All right? What are some things that you think would be some good? I'll give you my 5. And you might come up with some of them, but let's get you guys involved in this, because again, I'm learning from you, and you guys are sharp. All right. Okay? Oh boy, that comes wrong. We'll just have to say them. Find a new community of believers. Okay?
Make sure you find that community, like where you go to church before you go to college.
Okay? He suggests you try to find a church even before you get to college, not kind of wait till you get there. You might not get around to it. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, if there's sort of a post-high school group in your church, join into that. Become intentional about jumping in. Okay? Okay. She said to make a schedule so that you kind of set priorities and set time to pursue your faith, to pursue the Lord. That's good. Yeah. Find a friend that can hold you accountable. Good. All right. Let me give you guys these 5, okay? These are really, really good, okay? All right, 5 connection places that you can make. So, going away and graduating high school, it's not a scary thing. I mean, it is a little bit scary because we're talking about it, but some of the strict challenges. But listen, it's an exciting thing, guys. It's awesome. It's really cool to become an adult and be able to try new things, to go new. That's a good thing, guys. That God designed that and put that in you. You should embrace that. So while you're graduating high school, while you're moving on to this next stage of your life, enjoy it, try new things, meet new people. That's all part of God's plan. So don't be fearful, put yourself in a box or kind of some sort of protective shelter or bubble. No, that's great. That's great that God has given you this season in your life. You can do things as a young adult that you're able to do now because you have a little bit of maturity, more than you did when you were a high school student. You have a little more maturity, and you have some different set of free time. You can serve the Lord in unique ways that no one else can. You don't yet have maybe a family that you're responsible for. And so you have, this is a window in your life that is exciting, okay? Like I want you to really embrace these years and love these years. These were the years in my life where my wife and I served at Urban Hope. And they were so formational to the rest of our lives. Those years, the experiences that we had, the things that we learned from pursuing God and pursuing others, are things that we'll always take with us. It was an exciting, great, wonderful time in our lives, you know. And so you can just do more. Last night we had an alarm go off in our dorm, fire alarm, and so we had to get out of our beds and get outside. Were you guys in that dorm too? No? You can just imagine though, right? And so young adults, you guys at your age, you're like, that's awesome. Like there were a bunch of students and volunteer staff, college age volunteer staff that were out that never went to bed. And so when the alarm went off, they like walked out with like a bowl of cereal in their hand, like they just been eating. And like I had been out for like 2.5 hours already. Like I was tired. And so it's an exciting time in your life where you can just do things that you can't do when you get later in your adult years. So I'm saying it's great, it's exciting, it's wonderful. Like don't be scared of it. Here are 5 things, okay? While you are spreading your wings, while you are trying new things, here are 5 kind of mooring points, 5 connections to keep you stuck in a good path. All right, number 1, connect to a local church to serve wherever it is you end up. Connect to a local church to serve wherever you end up. So what I'm saying is, I want you to find a local church. So if you move away for a job, or you decide, you know what, I feel like I want to find my church, and maybe I kind of grew up with my parents' church, and I want to find my church, or maybe you're going away to college or whatever. So find that church. But don't just attend there. I'm saying find a church where you can serve. Especially if you decide that God is leading you to a Christian college. Because you'll have chapels and you'll have growth group times and all those kinds of things. But you need to find an outlet where you are serving other people. Because what happens during college? I just had a conversation with a student from our church who just got back from his freshman year of college. And so he's in between his freshman and sophomore year. And we were talking about, he said, I didn't find a church where I would serve. I kind of went to a church, but I just showed up, and I took off. I was there for 5 minutes before the service started, and I was gone like 5 minutes after the service was over. But I didn't really get to know anybody, and I really didn't serve. And he said, when I got back from college, he said, one of my really good friends told me that I really had a pride issue. And I really feel like it was because I didn't serve anywhere last year. This is him telling me. It's just 4 days ago, like on Sunday. And I'm like, that is totally right on. Because something happens, you have so many new opportunities. You have so many new opportunities, activities to get involved in. Right? And you're thinking, ooh, I want to do this, or ooh, I'd like to do this. And what happens is your life becomes all about what you want to do. And it becomes all about yourself and the things that you like. And one of the reasons that God asks us to serve or calls us to serve is because it's a weekly reminder, it's a regular reminder that life's not about me. That life's not about myself. So you find a church and you find a way to serve there, whether that's in the kids' ministries, whether that's serving in the tech team, whether that's serving on stage in the worship team, whether that's serving as a greeter or an usher or on a parking team. It doesn't necessarily matter. You find a place where you use your gifts, but also find a place where you're just needed and plug yourself in, because that's what we do. When we're followers of Jesus, we serve. Life's not about ourselves. And you got to remind yourself of that as an adult on a weekly or whatever basis, to remind yourself that, man, I have these gifts to serve others. Life's not about me. And you can start that right now. You can start that, by the way, in high school too. All right, so you don't need to wait, but you need to find a local church, wherever it is you're going to go, and you need to serve there. I think that is a great way to keep you focused on what life is all about, and not just be a consumer, where you just show up and you just always are taking from a church or a place, but you're never given. Okay? So you guys show up and serve. Number 2, number 1 was connect to a local church to serve wherever you end up. Number 2 was connect to a close group of believers who will hold you accountable for your life. Connect to a close group of believers who will hold you accountable for your life. That might be that post-high school group in your church. That might be a growth group at your Christian college if you happen to be going to one. That might be a campus ministry at the state school that maybe you're going to. So you find that place. And here's the thing. It's not going to sort of naturally happen. Okay? You're not just going to discover this group or this church. You will have to be intentional to make a decision. I'm going to pursue this group, and then I'm going to pursue the right group until I actually find them. It's not the kind of thing where you try it once or you try it twice, or you're actually going to keep figuring this out, because God has these people for you. God has this church for you. God has this group for you. But you got to be intentional about figuring it out until it actually happens. Because when you move away, whether it's moving away from your folks' house or moving away, to a new city or to a new place, it gets really easy to forget everything you know is right when you're around people that you don't know anymore. It is really easy to forget everything that you know is right when you're just around people that don't know you and you don't know them. And so that's why you got to put people in your life that are going to actually call you out, hold you accountable, that are going to watch your life and make sure that you're making good choices. So connect to that close group of believers who will hold you accountable for your life. Listen, we do this all the time in other areas of our lives. All right? If you want to become a better athlete in your sport that you're pursuing, right? You find people that are better than you and you learn from them. You put yourself in a relationship with them. If you want to become a better student, for whatever reason you're pursuing a certain track in your high school or in college, you put yourself around other students who are going to challenge you academically to be better than you are. Someone just told me this at lunch on Monday. He just graduated from Purdue, and he was talking about how he went from being like the smartest kid in his high school to like he wasn't the smartest anymore when he got to college. And that was a really good transition for him, because he said he kind of coasted in high school and didn't realize what he could actually do until he was challenged by other people who were smarter than he was. And he said this is a really great statement, I love this. He said, what I realized is if I'm the smartest person in a room, then I'm probably in the wrong room. We got to put ourselves in environments where we're being challenged. And the same is true for academics, but it's true for our spiritual growth as well. If I'm the most spiritually fit person in the room, then I'm in the wrong room. That's a room for me to serve in. That's a room for me to bring other people up to my level in. But then I got to find another place where I am being pushed, where I am being challenged, where somebody is bringing me along, where their life is inspiring me. I got to be intentional about putting those people in my path. Those relationships won't just happen. And it feels a little fake at first to say, hey, could I be, in a mentor relationship with you, or could I, be in a small group with these guys? But we do it in other things. We find the right people to be around, and we make the relationship, the friendships work. Typically, though, friendships, or spiritual friendships, we sort of just let happen. We the kids that like us, or the kids that we like, or the kids we have something in common with, or whatever, we sort of kind of float to that crowd. What I'm saying is be intentional about who you choose to let into that real inner circle. Be intentional. And some people you don't let in. And some people you do. Proverbs says that he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. If you have fools influencing your life in your close circle, you will be harmed. Like you will be. You can't not be. And so you got to be intentional about who you put in your close circle. You got to be really intentional. And so you be very intentional about who you let into your friend group, so you get that group of believers that are going to hold you accountable for your life. Okay? So number one, connect to a local church to serve where you end up, wherever you end up. Number two is connect to a close group of believers who will hold you accountable for your life. Number three, connect to God as many days as you can. And I'm going to suggest using something called 5-5-5. So connect to God as many days as you can through 5-5-5. If you have a really good plan for your personal time with the Lord, that's awesome. Just stick with that. I just suggesting this thing, 5-5-5, where you spend 5 minutes reading your Bible, and then 5 minutes quietly listening. So you read your Bible and then you just listen. And you just kind of are listening for the Holy Spirit to speak to you, to remind you of things, to kind of bring that truth that you just read sort of into your life and kind of wash over you and challenge you. And it's amazing what the Holy Spirit will say to you if you just quiet long enough to listen to Him. And then 5 minutes of then praying. And I like that order. It's not like the only order, but I just like it for those reasons I just explained. 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of quietly listening, and then 5 minutes of praying. And then as you get into that habit of building that into your life, you can add to it 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But you figure out when a good time is. If you're a morning person, or you feel like you want to kind of just get up and spend your time with the Lord to take your day right, that's great. If you do it in the evening time, as long as you're disciplined to actually do it every night, that's great too. It's a great time. You kind of know your schedule and your kind of makeup, your personality, whenever that fits for you. Lunch break, whatever works for you. But I would suggest that you set a specific time. If you just sort of kind of let it happen, it probably won't. So you decide it's going to be in the morning, first thing when I wake up. Or it's going to be first thing after I work out. Or it's going to be first thing on my lunch break. Or first thing, whatever it is. But you set that time and you spend that time with God. I suggest that you find a specific time. I also suggest that you find a specific place. It helps to have a place. You can connect with God anywhere. But it helps me to have a place because I feel like when I go to that place, that's my time with the Lord. That's kind of a protected place. This is going to sound really silly, but I try even not to watch TV or whatever in my place with God or hang out. I sort of reserve that spot in my spot with the Lord. And that you don't have to do that. I don't think that's spiritual or whatever. That just helps me because sometimes the environment that I'm in helps my mind to sort of shift and focus on what I'm trying to do there. In other words, when I'm in a gym, I'm going to play sports or to do something. And when I sit in this chair, I am going to focus and talk to the Lord. And that just helps me. That's not a right or wrong thing. That's just a suggestion I'm making. But I'm saying have a specific time. I think that is good. Have a specific place. That's just a personal suggestion. But you connect to God. Number one thing that you can do to grow in your relationship with God is to spend personal time with Him. Statistics show that over and over. If you've been a believer for 6 months, or you've been a believer for 60 years, the number one thing that you can do to grow in your relationship with God is to read your Bible for yourself and to spend time listening to Him, to have personal time with God. Going to church or doing other things or taking classes will never ever take over that priority of spending personal time with God. Those are other things that we do for sure to grow, to enhance our growth. But it has to start with ourselves. That's one of those things of becoming an adult. Is you're taking responsibility. You're spending that time with God yourself. And you will begin to see God change you. The more you spend personal time with God, you will see God to change your desires, to change your heart, begin to think things you've never thought before. You begin to see Him move in you and change you. And it's because you're spending time with Him. And it goes back to what we said earlier, that a companion of fools suffers harm, right? But he who is wise walks with the wise. And so God has filled the Bible with some incredible mentors for you. God has filled the Bible with some people who have gone through some stuff that maybe you've gone through, or have come through some significant obstacles and have overcome the way that you need to. We don't necessarily need to meet a person all the time. God has given us some divine mentors right here. And so the more time you spend with these mentors in here, you can learn some incredible leadership lessons from Moses or David. You can learn some incredible lessons of perseverance from someone like Job. We have these incredible mentors here that God has given us. And the more time you spend with these mentors, the wiser you will become. All right? So number one was connect to a local church to serve wherever you end up. 2 was connect to close believers who will hold you accountable for your life. Number 3 was connect to God as many days as you can through 555. Number 4 then, connect and keep close to 3. And this by the way, is not, I can't take credit for this. This came from our high school group. I can't remember who was it said it, but I wrote it down and thought that is great advice. Connect and keep close to 3 people from high school who will keep you on track spiritually. and stay in contact with them once a month. As you begin to move on from high school, don't lose all those friendships or relationships. You go to college, that's all by yourself. You're the only one going there that you know, or you're moving on to another city. All right? One of the great things about social media, one of the great things about texting, you can stay in contact with other people. And so I would challenge you for this next season of your life that you choose 3 people who are really good spiritual influencers potentially in your life, and you make the intentional effort to stay in touch with them once a month. That kind of just reminds you of who you are, where you come from, so you just don't forget all those good things from back home as well. This could be a youth leader, maybe your small group leader, your chat group leader. This could be a youth pastor potentially. This could be a good friend from your small group in high school, from your youth group. Okay? It could be a couple people like that, but choose 2 or 3 people who you will intentionally say, I'm going to stay in touch with these 3 people for the next year. Just to kind of keep me grounded so they can ask me how I'm doing, so I can ask them how they're doing. That's a great practical tip that one of our seniors came up with. I thought, that is excellent. I'm going to share that. Number 5, connect to a God-inspired cause in our broken world. As you guys are getting into adulthood, you've already figured out that the world is broken and that there are a number of injustices in our world, right in your community or on the news every day or happening somewhere else. And you can decide that you're going to get involved. And I think one of the greatest things you can do for your faith is to be involved in a cause that you really believe in, that really gets you up in the morning, that makes you pound the table and say, yes, someone has to do something about this. This has to stop. This has to change. Because you'll connect to the Lord and His mission and His cause, His work in our world when you do that. And so I would encourage you to figure out what is it that makes you pound the table. When you look around at our world, or even at your world, those that are just kind of right in your circle of influence, what is it that makes you say that? Something has to change you. Something has to be different. This can't keep happening. And how could you become part of the solution? How could you become part of changing? So connect yourself to a God-inspired cause in our broken world. See, Christianity isn't just attending church. I'm not just suggesting to you that as you transition to adulthood, that you just keep going to church. That's a horrible Christian life. If you're not part of being on mission, you'll become so bored with your faith that you will walk away. And I think that's why most young people do. Because they just feel like, man, all they do is go to church and they feel like this gets lame after a while, this gets boring after a while. I'm going to just keep doing this for the next 70 years of my life. No. God wants you to be on mission. God wants you to make a difference in our world. God has a cause that He wants you to be a part of, and so you got to tap into that. God has something for you that He wants you to be a part of, that if you didn't do it, the world would miss it. The world would miss your contribution. So you got to figure out what that is, and you got to keep doing it. And tap into that passion. Make a difference with your life. Don't just attend church. That is the lowest level of Christianity. But get this accountability around you. Get plugged into God and grow in your relationship with Him. And to get connected to a cause. So maybe you spend a summer at Urban Hope telling kids about Jesus. Maybe you spend a year caring for orphans in Asia. Maybe you figure out the solution to the clean water problem in Africa and other places around the world so we can spread the gospel. I don't know what it is, but you figure that out. You figure out what God has called you, how He's wired you. Some of you guys have some incredible, unique gifts that we need in the church. And so what I'm saying is don't just say, man, my church is so lame, I can't wait to get out of there, or this church or that church is so lame. Listen, if there's something that's broken, stay connected to it and be a part of the solution. Fix it. Let's get focused on things in our world that we can change right now. Maybe it's figuring out racial equality in your workplace or in your church. The earlier you connect to God's bigger picture to reach this world for Jesus, the deeper your love for Him will go. deeper your love for him will go. 5 things that I hope will help you guys as you begin to build your intentional safety net. Because you will, just like every other teenager that leaves the church, that then becomes part of that crowd that is the least religiously associated group in America, you're going to be tempted just like everybody else, okay? Just like I am, just like I was, just like I still am, to walk away from what I know is right, to make choices that I know are going to hurt me, but I make them anyway. If we don't build this intentional safety net, put these intentional barriers up that will protect us from living a life that doesn't matter. I think one of the greatest definitions of failure that I have ever heard, and I share it all the time with people, and I want you to think about it. The greatest failure would be to get to the end of your life and realize that you were incredibly successful at things that didn't really matter. And so I want you guys to think about these things, because these are the things that are going to last forever. These are the things that really are going to matter and are going to help your life make a difference. Because I don't want you just to pursue stuff that you're going to be really, really good at. You're going to use all these gifts that God gave you to solve some incredible problems that really just don't have any eternal significance. Right? Don't get to the end of your life and be really successful at things that never matter. That would be a failure. Can I pray for you guys? This is a really critical time in your life, and if I can help at all, just get in touch with me, and I'd be glad to do that. Lord Jesus, I just pray for all these students and all these adults that are here, God, that obviously care about students. Lord, this is a critical time in the life of a person, and we see the stats, and we kind of wonder why. We listen to some reasons why it's really tempting to walk away from the Lord. And it used to be that people then would sort of start to come back, maybe as they got older, as they had kids. I mean, that still does happen sometimes, but less and less. This is a really critical juncture in a person's life where they're really going to decide, am I following God or am I not? And God, I pray for every student, Lord, here in this room, that they would hear your whisper in their ear, that I have something better for you, that I have a plan to use you in ways you don't even realize. Lord, that they would hear your whisper that says, just keep pursuing me. It's going to be worth it. Lord, I pray it would be your voice and your whisper that we hear above every other one. God, I pray that you would use some of these practical steps we talked about today. I pray that they would be helpful, Lord, as these students apply them to their lives, even right now. God, that they would begin to see spiritual growth in their lives like they've never seen before. Lord, we love you. Thank you so much for your Son, what he means for us. We hope that we have an eternal life one day. Thanks for what you're doing this week. We pray you continue to work and move through our conference. In your name we pray. Amen. Have a great day, guys, and good night.